Let me ask you something real. Have you ever been in a relationship where, on the surface, everything seems fine, but deep down, something just doesn't feel right? You can't explain it. There's no clear betrayal, no major fight, but still, something feels off. You start to feel a knot in your stomach. Maybe it's how she talks to you lately. Maybe it's how often you have to second guess your own feelings. But instead of facing it head on, what do we usually do? We tell ourselves we're overthinking. We convince ourselves that we're being too sensitive. We silence the part of us that's trying to speak the truth. And that's the dangerous part. Because while you're busy making excuses, something subtle begins to happen. Piece by piece, you start to lose your peace, your self-respect, your clarity. And before you know it, you're no longer in a relationship. You're in a slow, emotional erosion. See, the Stoics taught one powerful truth. Your peace is your responsibility. You can't control what someone else does, but you can control how long you stay in a situation that's quietly destroying you. This video isn't about playing the victim. It's not about bashing anyone. It's about waking up. It's about helping you see the signs most men ignore until it's too late. Because if you're feeling that quiet discontent, that subtle anxiety, that sense that you're becoming someone you barely recognize, it's not nothing. It's not just a phase. It's your inner voice telling you, this isn't love. This is slow self-destruction. And the first step to reclaiming yourself is to stop ignoring it. So if you're ready to get honest, brutally honest with yourself, stay with me. Because in the next few minutes, we're going to walk through 5 signs that the relationship you're in might not be right for you. Not because you're weak, but because you're finally strong enough to face the truth. Let's talk about the first and most dangerous red flag, gaslighting. You tell her something bothered you. Maybe the way she spoke to you in front of your friends. Maybe something she did that crossed the line. But instead of owning it, she looks you dead in the eye and says, "What are you talking about? That never happened." Now you're confused. You start to question yourself. Did I remember it wrong? Maybe I am overreacting. Sound familiar? Gaslighting isn't just lying. It's when someone rewrites the truth so many times that you begin to doubt your own reality. You stop trusting your gut. You shrink. And eventually, you hand over the most dangerous thing you could ever give up in a relationship, your clarity. This isn't love. This is psychological manipulation. And the longer you stay, the more of yourself you lose. Stoic wisdom teaches us to guard our mind like a fortress. You wouldn't let a stranger walk in and rearrange your thoughts. So why let someone you love do it? Ask yourself this. If every disagreement ends with you apologizing, if every conversation turns into your fault, if you feel like you're going crazy trying to explain what's real, then you're not in a relationship. You're in a mental chess game you were never supposed to play. A woman who truly loves you won't make you feel unstable. She won't erase your truth or force you to walk on eggshells. You deserve a relationship where your reality is respected, where your voice is heard, not manipulated, where your mind stays sharp, not fogged with self-doubt. So here's the truth. If she's making you question your sanity more than she's helping you grow, it's time to walk. Not out of anger, not out of hate, but because your peace, your clarity, and your self-worth are non-negotiable. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and protect your mind because no one else will do it for you. Let's talk about something most men aren't taught to protect. Your boundaries. Your boundaries are not selfish. They're not dramatic. They are the invisible lines that protect your peace, your clarity, and your identity. But here's the problem. When you're with someone who refuses to respect those lines, your life slowly becomes chaos. You say, "I need a little space today." She blows up. You tell her you're not comfortable with how she talks to a certain guy. She laughs in your face and calls you insecure. And suddenly you feel guilty for having needs, for having standards, for simply asking to be treated with basic respect. That's not love. That's control. A woman who crosses your boundaries repeatedly and then makes you feel bad for standing your ground isn't loving you. She's trying to own you. Stoicism teaches us to stay centered, to build a life grounded in inner discipline and emotional control. But how can you stay centered when someone keeps shoving your limits and calling it love? Think about it. If every time you speak up, she punishes you with guilt, if every time you ask for space, she throws a tantrum, if every time you draw a line, she steps over it with a smile, then you're not in a partnership. You're in a slow battle to keep your soul intact. And here's the harsh truth. The more you let someone disrespect your boundaries, the more of yourself you lose. Your time, your focus, your sense of who you are. A real partner protects those things. A manipulator tears them down. So ask yourself this. Are you with someone who strengthens your peace or steals it? Because if she's violating your boundaries now, she's not going to stop later. And the longer you allow it, the harder it becomes to find your way back to yourself. Guard your space, guard your values, and remember, saying no to disrespect is saying yes to your own worth. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a relationship where you're always the bad guy, no matter what happens? She lies to you, and somehow it's your fault because you pushed her to do it. She snaps at you, and suddenly you made her act that way. She cheats, she hides things, she disrespects you. But when you call it out, she plays the victim so well, you start to wonder if you're the one losing your mind. This isn't miscommunication. This is emotional warfare. When someone never takes responsibility, when every issue magically becomes your fault, you're not in a relationship anymore. You're stuck in a psychological maze where the rules keep changing and you're always losing. Why? Because she's not looking for resolution. She's looking for control through guilt. And let me tell you something most men learn too late. You can't fix a dynamic where one person refuses to own their part. It's like trying to build a house on quicksand. The more effort you put in, the deeper you sink. Stoic wisdom reminds us to focus only on what we can control. You can control your actions, your honesty, your effort, but you cannot control someone else's willingness to grow or their refusal to take accountability. And when a woman constantly weaponizes guilt to dodge her own behavior, she's not being emotional. She's being manipulative. You deserve better than walking on eggshells. You deserve a partner who doesn't twist the truth every time things get uncomfortable. So here's the real question. Are you in a relationship, or are you stuck apologizing for someone else's immaturity? Because the longer you stay in that loop, the more you'll forget what healthy even looks like. Walk away from the blame game, walk toward peace, and never let anyone make you feel guilty for expecting accountability. Let's talk about something that's often overlooked but absolutely critical in any relationship. Your time. Time is the one resource you can never get back. Once it's gone, it's gone. And yet, some people treat it like it's worthless. You make plans. She cancels last minute. You clear your schedule for her. She shows up late or not at all. She keeps you waiting emotionally, mentally, and physically. And when you finally speak up, she says, "Relax, you're overreacting. It's not a big deal." But here's the truth. It is a big deal. Because how someone treats your time is how they value you. If you're constantly being rescheduled, deprioritized, or made to feel like an option, you're not in a relationship. You're in a one-sided arrangement where your needs are always at the bottom of her list. And the more you tolerate it, the more you teach her that your time, and by extension, your life, is negotiable. The Stoics taught us to guard our time as we would our lives. Because that's what time is. Little pieces of your life you'll never get back. Ask yourself, if she doesn't value your time now, what makes you think she'll value your future? If she wastes your hours today, what will she do with your years? Every minute you spend waiting for someone who doesn't respect your presence is a minute you could have used building yourself, your goals, your peace, your purpose. A woman who truly respects you doesn't leave you hanging. She shows up, she's consistent, she values what you give, and she gives back. So if you're always waiting, always adjusting, always apologizing for expecting basic courtesy, maybe it's time to stop explaining and start exiting. Because the truth is, you don't just lose time in relationships like that. You lose energy, you lose confidence, and if you're not careful, you lose yourself. Guard your time like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. Let me ask you something. Remember the beginning? When she used to light up when she saw you. When she made you feel like a priority. When she'd ask how your day was, surprise you with little things, actually listen when you talked. Now fast forward. She barely looks up from her phone. She doesn't ask anymore, doesn't try, doesn't care. And if you bring it up, she brushes it off. We're just comfortable now. But let's be honest here. Comfort isn't the problem. The problem is complacency. When someone stops putting in effort, it's not because they're too busy or too tired. It's because somewhere along the line, they stop valuing what they once worked to earn. You. Love isn't just about how things start, it's about how they're maintained. Every relationship has a honeymoon phase, sure, but what happens after that? That's when true character shows up. If she thinks she can stop trying just because you're already here, that's not love, that's entitlement. And here's the Stoic truth. Effort reveals investment. Where there is no effort, there is no real commitment. You see, people don't stop trying because they're tired. They stop trying because they think they no longer have to. But ask yourself this. Would you stay in a job where you're no longer valued? Would you keep investing in a project that's already abandoned you? Then why accept that in a relationship? You deserve someone who keeps showing up for you, who keeps choosing you, not just in the beginning, but every single day. Because love, real love, is active. It grows through action, not assumption. And when effort disappears, connection fades, no matter how strong the spark once was. So if she's no longer trying, if she treats your presence like a guarantee instead of a gift, then maybe it's time to stop proving your worth to someone who's already stopped seeing it. Walk away, not out of anger, but out of clarity, because you weren't built to be someone's placeholder. You were built to be someone's priority. Here's a question no one's asking enough. Why do so many men feel afraid to speak up in their own relationships? I'm not talking about yelling or arguing. I'm talking about simply expressing how you feel, telling her something hurt you, made you uncomfortable, or crossed a line. And what happens next? She doesn't listen. She doesn't ask questions. Instead, she flips it back on you. You're too sensitive. Can't you take a joke? Wow, you're really making this a big deal, huh? Sound familiar? What just happened there is emotional manipulation. She's not acknowledging your feelings. She's making you feel guilty for having them. And little by little, you start silencing yourself. You stop bringing things up. You question whether your emotions are valid. You wonder if maybe you're the problem. This is how men lose their voice. This is how strong men become quiet shells, walking on eggshells just to keep the peace. But Stoicism isn't about silence. It's about discipline. It's about knowing when to speak with intention and having the courage to protect your inner peace. You see, a healthy relationship gives you space to feel without punishment. You should be able to say, "That hurt me," without being ridiculed. You should be able to say, "I'm not okay with that," without being turned into the villain. Because the truth is, if you're not allowed to feel, you're not allowed to be human. And if she constantly makes you feel like your emotions are a burden, then what she wants isn't a partner. She wants compliance. But here's your reminder. Your emotions matter, your voice matters, and you don't have to earn the right to feel. You deserve a relationship where your inner world is not dismissed, but respected, not one that conditions you to suffer in silence. So don't apologize for having a heart. Apologize to yourself for letting anyone treat it like a weakness. Let me paint a picture for you. You just got the promotion, you closed the deal, you crushed your goal after months, maybe years of grinding. This should be a moment of celebration, a moment where the person who claims to love you the most stands by your side, proud, excited, inspired. But instead, she goes cold, she gets distant, or worse, she mocks it, says things like, "Must be nice," or "Don't let it get to your head." Now here's the truth most men won't say out loud. Success can expose the wrong people just as fast as failure. A woman who truly loves you will cheer for your wins as if they're her own. She won't feel threatened by your growth, she'll be moved by it. But when she feels the need to shrink your light to feel taller herself, that's not a partner. That's quiet competition disguised as love. And it's toxic, because in that kind of relationship, you'll start feeling guilty for growing. You'll question whether it's okay to want more. You'll shrink, not because you can't rise, but because rising makes her insecure. That's not love. That's fear. Fear of being left behind. Fear of not measuring up. But Stoic wisdom reminds us, you are not responsible for someone else's comfort at the cost of your potential. You were not built to dull your ambition so someone else can feel safe. Ask yourself this, are you with someone who claps when you win, or someone who quietly resents that it wasn't them? Because love, real love, is collaborative. It grows together. It lifts, not limits. It celebrates, not competes. And when you do, don't look back. Because the moment you stop chasing what's draining you, you make space for what was meant to build you. Now you know. Go act like it.